Welcome to this week's episode of FFRF's Ask an Atheist. I'm your host, Andrew Seidel, and I'm the Director of Strategic Response here at the Freedom from Religion Foundation.
I'm Ryan Jane.
And I'm Sam Grover. We are all constitutional attorneys at FFRF, which means that around the holidays every year, we all get to deal with seasonal religious displays on government property.
Now, before we talk about that, Donald Trump is tweeting today about his wall. This morning, he took to his favorite platform, Twitter, and I wanted to just take a moment to remind you that at FFRF, we've been saying for years that the only wall we need is the one between state and church. We ran an ad in Times Square about a year and a half ago that said this. We've run ads on Facebook. We've put up billboards pretty much everywhere. We put up a couple in Atlanta. We put up some billboards in Denver recently. We've got this slogan on bumper stickers, which you can get in the FFRF store at shop.ffrf.org. And we do this because we are the watchers on Thomas Jefferson's wall of separation between state and church. But we can't do that without your help. So as you spend freely this holiday season, spend a bit on FFRF. Get a membership, or maybe make a donation to the FFRF legal team. We really cannot do this work without your support. And part of that important work, as Sam mentioned, is the war on Christmas.
Well, no, actually, Andrew, we're discussing seasonal holiday displays on government property and the Establishment Clause, and just generally being more inclusive.
Yeah, that's what I said. The war on Christmas. Yeah. So let's imagine for a moment that you, dear viewer, you are strolling along in your hometown. You're pondering, as we do, the evil atheist agenda, when lo and behold, you see this star guiding three holy men to a manger with a baby and some animals. It's a nativity scene, and it's right there in the amphitheater at your public park, and it's hideous. What do you do?
Well, the first thing you should do is report it to FFRF. So you can do that at our website, ffrf.org. You click on the legal tab, and then that you want to report a state church violation. At FFRF, this is what we do. As Andrew said, we're the watchers on the wall, and if this is a violation of the First Amendment, we will help you cure it.
But there are actually two separate issues here that we want to address both aspects of. So first, if this is a government-sponsored display, a religious display on government property, then it is probably unconstitutional, and we ask the government to take it down. But sometimes, or quite often these days, the government will respond when we ask them to take it down, saying, oh no, you've got this all wrong. This isn't our display. This is a private display that just happens to be on government property. We opened up the government property for anyone to put up anything, what's known as a public forum. So the government is technically allowed to do this. It can designate government property and say that anyone can display anything there, but it's usually not a great idea. If that's the case, then it's time to switch gears and emphasize equality.
And when this happens, and there is a religious display present, what we do is we help local FFRF members put up non-religious displays to bring some balance to these scenes, which otherwise tend to be exceedingly religious.
Yeah, so basically we've got government-run religious displays, which are probably unconstitutional and should come down. And then we've got this second thing, which is government fora for private religious displays, or any kind of display to go up. So let's talk about the first one first. So let's look at some of the challenges, Sam, if you've got some, that we've made this year to those religious displays on government property.
Yeah, probably the one that immediately comes to mind, it's been in the news a lot in the past couple days, is there's this lighted cross up in Ozark, Missouri.
Is this the one that's the utility pole that they made to look like a cross?
Yeah, they lined lights on a telephone pole. Okay. I think most of our viewers know what a Christian cross looks like. Right. So it's just outlined in blue lights. And it's part of a holiday display. So I think the city might be a little bit confused about which Christian holiday they're supposed to be celebrating right now. I'm pretty sure the cross is Easter.
That's the end of Jesus' life, not the beginning.
Yeah, but
they can't even get their mythology right.
It doesn't matter. It's about Jesus, so that's all that really matters at this time of year, according to Ozark. But we wrote a letter because the government cannot put a Christian cross up on its property or any other Christian symbol as part of a government-sponsored holiday display. The city was originally going to stop lighting up the cross and then take it down.
Yeah, they put out a press release to that effect, I think, or they issued a statement, the mayor did, saying it was going to come down.
The city council issued a statement to that effect, and then they got a lot of pushback from Christians in their community who said, no, we don't see this as a problem, we Christians in the community. Mind you, we wrote a letter on behalf of a non-Christian in that same community. But so then the mayor issued a statement saying, we're going to keep it up because there's been a lot of pushback, and we'll continue to review the legality of it, even though it's pretty clear. But Ozark, Missouri is in Christian County, Missouri, so I think they've got a really strong argument that this Christian cross is A-okay.
Well, Rebecca Markert, our legal director, is on top of that, and I know she's going to keep pursuing it, but that's absolutely a pretty clear case of where one's got to come down. Any more that we're taking on this year?
Yeah, there's one that we have a picture of. So this is in Caryville, Florida. You can look at this, and they set this display up last year, and then it's up again this year, same as before. So we are working with the city to hopefully convince them that that's got to come down, because as you can see, it's a big old nativity all by itself right on city property.
Yep, so that one should come down.
Yeah, and then we've got another one in Alabama, Helena, Alabama, that you can see here.
This is one of those ones where they outline it in lights.
Right, so it looks really bad during the day and like passable at night. But yeah, that's on the municipal building property, as you can see in the image. Clear violation there.
Any more, Ryan?
Yeah, so this one, this is in Lancaster, New York, and it's curious because it's on a trailer, as you can see.
Boy, it is. These are just remarkably unattractive, aren't they?
Right? Every single one of these is just for aesthetic reasons. You should get rid of it. And this one also, it's easy, because sometimes they say, it would take so much effort to tear it down. This one, just roll it right off the property, no problem.
Yeah, you just need one guy in a truck to get rid of that violation. How about Hocking County, Ohio? We got two pictures here. This is on the courthouse there, I believe. And so it doesn't get much more ironic than that, at the seat of the government's authority and, the building that's supposed to represent legality and the
Justice,
rule of law.
Upholding the Constitution.
Yeah.
You got a constitutional violation right on the side. Come on, guys.
And of course, sometimes we get complaints of religious holiday displays in public schools. Here's one from this year. This is Falconer Central School in New York, and it's a small nativity scene that was put up by Falconer Central School. And I'll just point out the American flag and the tiny Christmas tree on the left do not make it legal.
Yeah, the American flag really kind of brings in the Christian nationalism aspect of this.
I'm pretty sure that's in the original story, actually. The Stars and Stripes is in there.
So these are government religious displays that should come down. Now, one thing that I've had a problem with is reporters often don't understand the issue here. The trailer one reminded me of a conversation I had with a reporter in Florida, and it was either about Chipley, Florida or Century, Florida. And we got the town to remove the nativity scene from town hall. They gave it away. A church picked it up, and it was the church right across the street. And the reporter said, well, what are you going to do now? Aren't you gonna write another letter? I'm like, no, it's not on government property. There is no problem now. It's pretty easy. Okay, so once it's off government property, fine, no problem. But what do you do when the government claims that it's an open forum and they can do whatever they want? Anybody can put up anything as long as it's private speech. What do we do then? This is often the government they want to have their cake and eat it too, right? This isn't necessarily a genuine offer. It's sometimes done by Christian government officials who think that only the Christian majority will show up and allow them to put up a religious display that would otherwise be unconstitutional and have to come down. So that's why in these cases it's important for non-religious members of the community to put up our own displays to remind the Christian majority that they are not alone and that they can't do this on government land. Ryan, you've got a couple examples. Why don't you show us one first?
Yeah, and so first to highlight some of the ones that we've put up that are new this year. First, this is one that that our members put up in in Concord, the capital of New Hampshire. I believe we have a couple photos of that one, and yeah, and I highlight this one. I really like what they did with the lights going around our Bill of Rights and nativity, and the floodlight in the front. It's a nice touch. So that's a good look on that one.
And for people who can't see that, this is Ben Franklin, the Statue of Liberty, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington, all revering the Bill of Rights. And Bill of Rights Day is coming up. It's December 15th. That's Bill of Rights Day when we celebrate that.
And this is a photo in Libertyville, Illinois. So this is another new one that we've put up. This is in San Diego. This one, it's not easy to see here, but there's actually a gigantic nativity here, so it's an ongoing issue you can keep hearing about. We're going to be talking to San Diego about making sure that we actually get balanced, equal treatment in this case, because we have our banner and our display, but then there's this humongous nativity scene. So we'll be continuing to work on that, so keep an eye on that one. This next one, this is in Eugene, Oregon, and this one's unusual because it's a 30-foot long banner hung over the road. And what happened here is the city allowed another group to put up a banner that says things such as Jesus, celebrate his birth, and attend a church of your choice. So we put up a banner that says celebrate the solstice, 'tis the season of reason, and that is hanging over in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, so we have some other recurring displays like this one in South Bend, Indiana. That's again our typical Bill of Rights nativity with our solstice sign. Then we've got Milwaukee County Courthouse in Wisconsin here, one of our holiday signs. Let's see, Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, there's our some members of our Chicago chapter with the big light up Atheist A, and then also our banner. Let's see, we've got, is that Grundy County?
That's Grundy County, I believe, yes.
Perfect. With a couple members putting up our display there. And all of these are places where Christian displays have been allowed by the government. We're not trying to, weasel our way into places that don't already have a forum here, like a lot of churches do. So this is the Wisconsin Capitol. We've got a couple FFRF staff members, Whitney and Colin there.
Both from the legal team.
Both from our legal team.
We went down to the Capitol and put this up.
Yeah, we've had a display up in the Wisconsin Capitol for quite a few years now. And there's a forum there. The Illinois Capitol, where we have a sign. And then I think finally, kind of a unique one, we have this Reason Station in Warren, Michigan. Let's see. Yeah.
We don't have the picture.
We don't have the picture of that.
We fought over that one for a long time. That was a good win.
Yeah. There was a long legal battle over that because they have a prayer station in Warren that they've had up for years, and finally we were allowed to. Our member was allowed to put up a Reason Station to go with that.
Yeah. So now those are all in state capitals, and we've been talking about emphasizing equality and showing up, but sometimes when we show up, we get blocked out. And that happened at the Texas state capitol to FFRF, to that Bill of Rights nativity, the one that you just saw many pictures of. And Sam, you're working on what is now a lawsuit because of that.
Yeah, that was a pretty shocking and puzzling thing for us, where the Texas Capitol for a long time has allowed anyone to put up a display throughout the year. They put up hundreds of displays every year for art and community things. But for the first time in 2014, they put up a Christian nativity in the Capitol. So in 2015, we're like, hey, all right, if this is now a forum for religious displays, we would like a non-religious display celebrating the winter solstice and the Bill of Rights. And Governor Abbott took issue with that. We were allowed to put up our display. Initially, the State Preservation Board, who approves all displays, approved ours as well, because why wouldn't they? And then Governor Abbott decided that no, in fact, he took objection that we were somehow belittling Christianity. That case,
he said some really horrible things about FFRF. And the display. And let's just pause. I mean, what was the end result though? What did he do with it?
He had it taken down.
He kicked it out.
Yes, he removed our display from the Capitol while allowing the Christian nativity to remain. And
so a display of the Bill of Rights was effectively censored. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
Just so we're all on the same page.
With our Bill of Rights display.
Didn't he say that it had no educational value, and that was part of his objection to it?
My favorite part was he said that it promotes ignorance and falsehood. Not only is he saying that about a Bill of Rights display, but then to back that claim up in his letter, he quoted 17 lines of a George Washington prayer that is fake. George Washington, it's a piece of fake history. It's a historical revisionism. It's David Barton and Christian nationalism. Washington never said that or wrote that down, and he used that to claim that we were promoting ignorance and falsehood, which is, I mean, you can't write this stuff.
Yeah, irony is strong with this one.
Anyway, so Sam has been litigating that case. So where are we on it?
It's finally at the Court of Appeals level. So the district court ruled in our favor, saying like, absolutely, this is viewpoint discrimination to exclude the atheist display, but allow a religious display in.
And this is a little bit of a different case than what we typically do, because we're not arguing a violation of the separation of state and church. We're arguing that FFRF's free speech rights were violated.
Yeah. So our wonderful First Amendment does many different things. One of them is the Establishment Clause. Congress shall
make no
law respecting the establishment of religion. But it also, protects free speech. So the government cannot censor speech, and it very clearly did here. And so the district court got it right. The government, Governor Abbott most likely decided to appeal and waste more taxpayer money defending his clearly unconstitutional actions. And by the end of the year, we should have the government's brief arguing why Governor Abbott was allowed to do this. And we will respond in January, and hopefully we'll get a decision soon.
All right, so it's a little ways off. But so when we do try to emphasize equality and it doesn't work, we then have the ability to often turn around and sue. And a flip side to this too is we can often actually close down that forum. You know, one of my favorite examples is in Santa Monica. There was a nativity scene in a public park right there on the ocean, and we said it had to come down. And the city said, no, well, you know what? We're going to let anybody put anything up, except we're going to have a lottery system, and there's going to be 21 spots, and you have to enter the lottery to get into one of those spots for the month of December. And atheists won 18 of the 21 spots for the first year it was open. There was a big headline in the LA Times that atheists hijacked the nativity, and then the town decided to close down that forum and have no displays the next year. And actually, the nativity group sued and said we have a right to, and they lost. Anyway, fun stuff.
Well, it really highlights what you were talking about before with the government wanting their cake and eating it too, and they often see this public forum route as almost a loophole where they're like, oh, we could, with this one simple trick, we can get all the Christian displays and no constitutional problems, and then when that actually gets litigated, they have issues.
Yeah. So we're happy to take some questions now. If you've got questions, please ask them in the comments below, or you can send an email to askanatheist@ffrf.org if you don't want your name public. And I've got a couple here already. Our first one is from B.A. Humbug. That's got to be an alias. He asks, you guys did a nice job of explaining these issues for lay people to understand, but has the Supreme Court really been this clear on the issue? I thought they were a bit disorganized when it comes to religious displays. Correct, they are a bit disorganized. And actually, this is something that FFRF's senior litigation counsel, Patrick Elliott, is addressing on a new Free Thought Matters solstice program that FFRF is putting together. And we have a clip, I think. Bruce, do you have a clip that we can run from that show of Patrick doing it?
We received many reports in December at the Freedom from Religion Foundation about religious displays on government property, in government buildings, and in city parks. Let's take a look at what the courts have said about these displays. The first case was Lynch versus Donnelly. There, the city of Pawtucket, Rhode Island, included a nativity scene as part of an overall elaborate Christmas display on the grounds of a private park. The city's display included a depiction of Santa, reindeer, and other figurines in addition to the nativity scene. In a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court held that the city's display did not violate the Establishment Clause. Several years later, however, the court heard another case involving holiday displays. In County of Allegheny versus ACLU, the Supreme Court considered whether 2 recurring holiday displays on government property were constitutional. The first display consisted of a creche, which was prominently displayed on the grand staircase of the courthouse. The second display, located outside of the city-county building, included a menorah, a Christmas tree, and a sign celebrating the holiday season. The court held that while the menorah display with the Christmas tree and sign was constitutional, it ruled that the nativity scene inside the courthouse was unconstitutional. When analyzing holiday displays, courts will look at the physical setting, the particular symbols used, and whether the overall message endorses religion. Let's take a look at a complaint that FFRF successfully resolved regarding nativity display. We'll head about 40 miles south of Madison to the small town of Elkhorn, Wisconsin. Elkhorn is a town of about 10,000 people. In December, the town's merchants deploy their holiday decorations. The town even calls itself the Christmas card town. Courts have allowed displays on government property that are secular, such as holiday decorations, including something like a Santa's workshop behind me here, Christmas lights, and those types of displays. What's not permitted would be a government's focus on a purely religious symbol, such as a menorah or a nativity scene as the sole focus of a display. And it was a nativity scene in Elkhorn that caught the attention of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. In 2014, FFRF contacted local government leaders about a nativity scene on the government square. Ultimately, the county agreed to move the nativity display here on government property to across the street at St. Patrick's Catholic Church. This is the creche that was on government property. Today it's on private property. You'll see we're not able to peek inside because it's got frost on this cold Wisconsin day. But trust us, it's a typical nativity scene with Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and Christmas figurines. So if you're the government, you can put up Frosty and his family anywhere you want. But when it comes to religious displays, leave those to your local churches.
So that is going to be the winter solstice special of Free Thought Matters, and it will be airing live, or not live, on December 23rd. So you can go ahead and check out your local broadcast for that. There, you can find more information about what channels that will air on FFRF's website as well. Now, we do have more questions. Danielle asks, what's up with the holiday sweaters? Do you dress like that all through December? I dress
Every
like
day.
that. I do it all year. I don't
Nothing
know about
but.
you. Yeah. No, I mean, they're lovely sweaters. This is... What is yours?
Oh yeah, this one has some panda bling on it. It says panda.
Is it the Christmas panda?
I guess so.
Oh yeah, I remember the panda does visit Jesus. I think it's in the book of Matthew.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
And yours, Brian?
I've got the Happy Lamaka sweater, which you gotta balance out the holidays a little bit.
Yeah, and then here we have some penguins and reindeer and snowmen.
And Joseph has a big candy cane.
Yeah, it's lovely. So yes, we do dress like that all throughout the holiday season and year.
I actually have a question based on Patrick's video.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, why is it that the God who controls the weather decided to censor the nativity scene on that church property?
I don't know, it's an excellent question. Maybe God hates Jesus or something. I don't know.
Or he really
Baby
wants it on
Jesus.
government property, and he would have cleared it up if we just put it in the right spot.
There you go. That's probably the real answer. Okay, Bebe asks though, can religious companies display religious things like scriptures? Great American Cookie Company claims they are protected. Don't know what the company is referring to. Let's just take that as a generic question. Can religious companies display religious things?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they're private companies. Okay.
In fact, all companies can, whether they are religious companies or companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the harder question, of course, would be, can the government display religious scripture and whatnot? And then it would be more fact-intensive. Short answer, I would say, is probably not, but it depends on the context.
Okay, Tracy Lathram, sorry Tracy if I got that wrong, asks, are you the organization petitioning for the removal of the cross at the Finley River Park? I believe that's the Ozark, Missouri park. Why? Why does the cross offend you and not the nativity scenes? Why do you want to ruin that for the rest of us? Yes. We are the Grinch who stole the cross.
So we don't take issue with nativity scenes on private property. We take issue with the cross because the government put it up, and the government is sending a message, therefore, that it endorses the Christian cross, and that is not allowed. That's what our Constitution is all about. It protects minorities, in this case, non-religious minorities, from the tyranny of majority rule in an overly Christian community.
Yeah, and it's if they found a way to put a nativity scene on a flagpole, we would object to that too, because it's the same thing. It sends a message that this is a Christian community and Christians are the favored majority, and the government's not allowed to do that.
And Tracy, maybe a follow-up question for you is this is a violation of the Constitution, right? This is our First Amendment, which protects all of us being violated. So the real question is, why doesn't that upset you? As an American, why aren't you trying to defend the First Amendment? Why are you opposing a group that's doing that for you? So, John Wesley Thompson, what if it's a nativity scene on public property, but it's an obvious parody? So maybe a nativity scene like this sweater or something like that. There are some nativity parodies that would probably still be promoting religion in one form or another. I know the Pastafarians have a parody nativity that involves their god, the flying spaghetti monster. And so that is still a religious endorsement, and therefore the government shouldn't be displaying it.
Well, and for that matter, the government also cannot, we almost never see this, but the government cannot be outwardly attacking religion with a display either. So, if the government were to put up a giant sign that says there is no God, I think that's a pretty clear Establishment Clause issue as well. And so it could be similar with if there is a display that's sending a message that this government does not favor Christianity because it's actively mocking their nativity. I think that's a pretty solid argument to say the government shouldn't be promoting that message either.
Yeah, but that is important to note. I think that is something that we've never seen that in all our years.
In all the years of the war on Christmas,
we have never seen that. And I think it's also important to note that we've only ever seen the other displays, really, including the mocking displays, the flying spaghetti monster display. We've only ever seen those as a response to a nativity scene that has gone up. It's sort of that second category of things that we've been talking about when the government says there's an open forum. Okay, David Philpott. I live in Southwest Missouri, one town away from Ozark. My issue is with the Greene County sheriffs having "In God We Trust" on their official vehicles. Can you help me?
We can. If you would like us to write a letter to your local government about this or any other violation, we would be happy to take a look at that. Just send us an email through our website, FFRF.org. And in this particular case, "In God We Trust" is the national motto.
Sadly, is the national motto.
Yeah. It probably doesn't amount to a religious endorsement to have that on government vehicles. We might have an FAQ on that also on our website.
And I think the problem really is the courts here. The courts they've had really bad decisions in these. And they've said, for instance, that "In God We Trust," which is very clearly a religious statement saying that we trust in God. I mean, they've said that that's not religious. And that's why sometimes you get this argument that, well, this isn't a constitutional violation. But still, we've had success getting it removed.
Right. We're still willing to write letters just to let local government entities know that they're not being inclusive, that they are ostracizing a minority group within their community when they do things like that. And a lot of governments are receptive to that.
And I think it's very beneficial to just open the discussion up and get them on the record trying to explain what they're going for here. Because if they're going to swallow this legal fantasy to say, hey, this has nothing to do with religion, we're just putting up because it's pure patriotism, has to do with the national motto, then a lot of religious people are going to say, what are you talking about? You're talking about the Christian God. That's why I support this motto in the first place. So there can be some divisiveness that can come up that way when you start to air what's really going on. And other times they go the other way, where you'll get police or sheriffs who are coming out and saying, well, no, this is a Christian message that the courts, I understand, have said is fine to put on here, and they'll maybe add a cross to it. And then suddenly they're in a totally different ballpark where this has just become a crystal clear constitutional violation.
So just writing can get them to say something that get them to basically expose this myth, and then we have something more substantial that we can argue against.
Exactly.
But to your point, Sam, about the inclusiveness of the community, when it's on a law enforcement vehicle too, it's almost more insidious in a way. It's like we serve Christians and believers in this community, and we're not going to protect non-believers. It almost kind of gives that message or feeling if you're non-religious, especially in a heavily Christian community.
Yeah, and there's an inherent sort of coercive nature to anything that law enforcement are involved in, just because they have additional power.
Yeah, and guns. Okay.
And guns.
We have a final question from Corey Melton. My daughter's public school is visiting a Salvation Army to sing Christmas carols and do other Christmassy things. I'm not okay with my kid's school having an annual trip to a Christian ministry. Is this type of thing okay for a New York City public school?
Send us an email about that one.
Yeah,
We
include as
would
many
love
facts as
to
you can.
get all of the facts so that we can properly hash that out with you.
Yeah, I think based on this, it sounds like it's probably a violation, Corey. So definitely go to that legal tab, fill out the legal report on ffrf.org with as much information as you can, as Ryan just said, and we will do everything we can to help you with that. And if it's happening, in the next day or two, do that as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah. So. Yeah, in summary, if you see a religious display on government property, it's either a violation as government speech, or it's an open forum for displays, and your belief should be included there. So if you think you see a violation in your area, let us know by going to our website, ffrf.org, and we will take a look and do what we can to make sure your government is staying secular.
And 2 quick programming notes. We are happy to announce that we are making the FFRF studio larger to better produce programming for our members and fans. Unfortunately, this does mean that we will not be live for at least the next 2 weeks, but do tune in next Wednesday at noon for rebroadcasts of some of the best shows from the last year. And there are plans to broadcast our winter solstice celebration on December 21st. It'll feature music from Dan Barker and folk singer Kristen Lems, so be sure to tune into that. And on December 23rd, watch for FFRF's broadcast program Free Thought Matters with a special winter solstice celebration.
Now, before we go, I just want to add one final note. What do you do if you don't win the war on Christmas this year? Do you give up? Do you sit down and shut up? No, never. FFRF is for fighters. We went after a nativity scene in Menominee, Michigan for the first time in 2007. Rebecca Markert, our legal director, started that. Then I took over that. Then Ryan took that over. We kept working on it, and we didn't get the response that we wanted until the end of 2016. That's almost a decade of fighting against one nativity scene, but we won. FFRF has been beating back American theocracy and fighting Christian privilege for 40 years, and it's time that you join us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for another episode of FFRF's Ask an Atheist.